Hello, everyone. It's Bucky again. Today, I wanted to talk to you about foreclosures and what we do it from an investor side and how we help people out of a foreclosure, or if you're just facing foreclosures, or if you're just wanting to know more about the foreclosure process. I'm just going to kind of give you a history of what it's about, kind of break down some of the key points, and just kind of summarize that with you here today. Okay. So, what kind of vision does the word foreclosure evoke in your mind? Like, what are you thinking about? Are you having thoughts of a homeowner falling behind in house payments? You see the courthouse steps with people frantically bidding on a property that's been auctioned off? Or are you picturing a family being removed from their house by the sheriff with all their belongings? None of these are pretty images. Indeed, foreclosure is a harsh reality, and literally thousands of people throughout America face it each and every year. Okay. I myself, years ago in the Great Recession, I kind of went through the process of it. So I've been on both sides. I've helped people out of it, and I've seen firsthand the processes. So you may recall a vision of a vintage melodrama where the heroine is strapped to the railroad track and the villain is standing there nearby, dressed in black. The villain is the heroine's father's house. You see the train in the distance coming down the track, closer and closer, closer. All of a sudden, the heroine has to do is to agree to marry the villain, and she will no longer be in bondage. And her father's home will be safe. It sounds a little far-fetched, right? No doubt. But the truth is, there are many people who feel like they are stuck on the railroad track, and the train is barreling down at them. They need help now. But they're going through such a wide array of emotions, they simply cannot think clearly. They have either exhausted all the resources or they simply don't know what to do, right? And that's where we come in and help. There are many reasons homeowners may lose their home to foreclosure. But foreclosure is usually not the reason why. It's the consequences of escalated financial problems. These financial problems are always the direct result of circumstances that happen in life, right? These distress situations, such as a job loss, right, or income loss, or divorce, or death, or even illness, can cause a homeowner to become financially strapped and delinquent on those mortgage payments. Nobody wants to not pay their mortgage. They want to stay in their home. They just have to make choices to eat, or maybe they bit off more than they could chew and they lost their job. So no matter what the cause, foreclosure creates, unfortunately, a motivated seller, right? And we would rather pick up the property than letting it go back to the bank. And you have to deal with those circumstances and those consequences. So what we do is we work to solve the homeowner's problem. We may not be able to help every situation, but oftentimes we can find a good win-win for both parties. Okay. So what is foreclosure? Over here on Wikipedia, it talks about it's a legal process and so on and so on. I'll let you read through this if you want to look it up. But essentially, what foreclosure is a legal process whereby a creditor forces the sale of a property that was pledged as a security for debt owed to the creditor when the debt has not been paid. Usually the creditor is the bank or a lending institution. In other words, your house is their collateral. In other words, you don't own your house until the debt is paid. They still own all rights to it. They can take it away. It just takes them a little while to take it away. So there are several different kinds of foreclosures, and the process can differ from state to state to state. There are basically two main types of foreclosures, though. They're judicial and non-judicial. Okay? Judicial is used in mortgage states or in lien theory states. The usual procedure when a loan is in default for the lender is to send a notice of intent to foreclosure. Sometimes they call it a demand letter, right? To the borrower, the letter lets the homeowner know that the loan is in default and the lender intends to take action if the owner doesn't bring the loan current. It will also include the amount due. If the homeowner does not respond to this term set forth in the notice of intent to foreclose, then the lender files a lawsuit called a complaint for foreclosure against the borrower. Next, a lawsuit pending, lis pendens, the legal term, is filed. The lis pendens signals the beginning of the foreclosure process and is a legal recording of warning notices sent to any interest parties who may have a claim against the property or ownership. So what does that mean? Sometimes people hire contractors and they don't pay them, so the contractor files a lien on the property. Sometimes there's been work done on a property or during the process and the contractor hasn't been paid, so these notices go out. After a period of time, a court hearing date is set for the sale of the property. The lis pendens is officially served as a summons by the court and delivered to the homeowner by the sheriff. So that's when you see a sheriff knocking on the door handing that over. In the lien theory states, the lis pendens is the first indication to the public that a property is in foreclosure. Other documents are filed in the courthouse until the last document. The final judgment of foreclosure triggers a notice of sale detailing the time, date, and place of the sale. So as you can see, there's quite a process. They don't just take your home away. They give you plenty of time, warnings, letters, opportunities to get it caught back up. At the sale, the highest bidder gets the property. And it's funny, foreclosure properties, if the bidder isn't higher than what the lien is on the property, typically the banks are buying the properties back. But in other states, we also have what we call, there's a right of redemption. Okay, the period that can last from 30 days to 1 year. In some states, the mortgagee is allowed to remain in the house until the right of redemption period has passed. The time sequence for all these steps can vary from state to state. So, depending where you're at, you need to look that up and what your state regulation says. The second type of foreclosure is a non-judicial foreclosure. A non-judicial foreclosure is used in a trust deed state or a title theory state. Instead of a mortgage, the borrower, the trustee, gives the deed of trust to the trustee, usually an attorney, to hold for the lender, the beneficiary. When the borrower is in default of the loan, the lender instructs the trustee to file a notice of default. Notice of default is the initial start of the foreclosure process, and it is filed in the county recorder's office. It is a public record giving notice that the property is in foreclosure. An equitable period of time of redemption follows the notice of default. Again, this period can vary from state to state, but it usually lasts from 60 to 90 days. After that, the sale is advertised as a notice of trustee sale. A short time later, the auction is held and the sale goes to the highest bidder again. There's no redemption period after the auction. It's important for you to learn what the process is and how it works from state to state, okay, depending on where you live. Whether you're purchasing properties or whether you're facing foreclosures, you need to understand these timelines. So it's easy to get this information. You can contact a title company or a foreclosure attorney and ask them to explain the process for your state. You may want to make sure you understand the time frames involved, especially from the initial time when the default notice is filed at the courthouse until the auction. Ask the title company or foreclosure attorney what the initial filing is called and where this information can be filed at the courthouse. Okay, so you can actually look this stuff up. You also want to know how many times the notice is advertised in the newspaper and if the advertisement is only in a legal publication or if it will also appear in the legal section of the classifieds in your local newspaper. That's what the legal notices. I don't know if anybody's ever read the legal notices. They're full of great information. If it appears only in the legal publication, get the name of the publication and the information on how you can get a copy of this. So this is if you're looking to buy foreclosures. You also want to know the amount of time you have to cure the loan before the auction and stop the foreclosure, right? So what does that mean? That's what we do. We go out and try to figure out how we can solve this problem before it goes to auction. That way everybody wins. The bank wins, the homeowner wins, our company wins, and we just solve the problem, right? That's what we do. You also want to know the amount of time you have to cure the loan before the auction and stop the foreclosure. So again, that just basically means how much time. Okay, for instance, in different states, like Texas or wherever, the auction can be held once a month or on Tuesdays. Sometimes the Friday night after the attorney office closes. There's just different states have different things. Okay, you just have to figure out when that happens. The important thing is you don't want to spend a lot of time and energy working on hard to stop a foreclosure, only to find out you just have one more day to cure the loan, right? So if you're looking to buy these, make sure you have a window to actually get things done. You can start finding out about these things early on if you want to. If you're having trouble finding information, contact us. We can show you where to get you pointed in the right direction. Or we often have people that help guide each other through this process. So we're happy to help you. Okay. So this will conclude this part of this foreclosure. Part 2, we're going to talk about the 3 phases of foreclosure. So we'll check that out on the next video. Thank you.